Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Monday night podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name is Stevie Clifford. If I'm looking a bit frazzled, it's because I've been trying to get this podcast going. The sooner Andrew's back, the better. I am, however, joined by my two favourites, Shona and Kenny. Let's just get straight into it. A 1-0 victory over Hibs yesterday, which was difficult at times. Let's call it that. But Shona, we'll go straight into it. On reflection, it is 3 points and a clean sheet. It's a good result after a really good performance and good result on Thursday night. What was your overall thoughts on it? We were there, obviously. We vlogged. I correctly called it at 1-0 and then sat for the last 20 minutes like that. So, what was your thoughts?
Look, it wasn't the greatest of performances, was it? I think when you're coming back from a European win midweek and the boys not getting back to 3, 4 in the morning, one training session in between and an early kick-off on the Sunday. I don't think it was ideal preparation, but look, I think you would take it. As you said, it's a clean sheet, it's 3 points and we move on. But there was moments in the game where I thought in the first half we played quite well, second half not so well. But overall, I don't think Hibs really troubled us. In fairness, I think the biggest opportunity they had was probably the Dwight Gale header that was just wide of the post. Apart from that, I can't really remember too many opportunities that Hibs had, but they did in the last 10 minutes look as if they were going to cause us a bit of problems. But look, I thought the defence did really well. I think there was quite a good few blocks from proper. Defensively in the air, I thought Shooter was much better. Connor Barron in midfield again, really, really good performance. And then I'm sure we'll go on to talk about Tom Lawrence's goal, which was an absolute cracker. So all in, it wasn't the best of performances. But look, Clement, I think, tried to make some tactical substitutions at half-time to try and create a little bit more in the second half, but it just didn't really work out. I thought there was a few, not poor performances, but I think we'll go on to talk about Czerny. Don't think he's been playing particularly well in the last couple of games. But yeah, look, you'll take it, won't you? 3 points and a clean sheet.
Certainly take it. Not sure it would take the performance though, Kenny.
No, it was turgid, wasn't it, for the majority of the game, I thought. I thought we had a bit of control in the first half and we kind of lost the control in the second half. That's what I thought, although I agree with Shona, I don't think they troubled us too much, but I've got a question for you. Does every single team in the Premier League, bar us, have a long throw specialist or something like that? What is that about? I've lost count of the amount of times teams do this for virtually the whole game. But look, the Hibs didn't really cause us too much bother. That's what I would kind of take from it. And again, I agree with Shona in terms of the kind of quick turnaround from Thursday to Sunday. You know, Thursday night, you're getting home Friday morning. Not as the manager commented on, not really getting any sleep. Then you're into Friday. Saturday's your one day of preparation, really, and you've won the game. You've got your clean sheet. The only real concern for me in terms of the team performance, if you like, was that genuinely I felt that we were losing control of the game the longer it was going on. I thought I half expected Hibs to score in the last 10, 15 minutes, even though they didn't really cause as much bother. It just had that feel about it for me, I thought. But delighted for the 3 points. But that's all we can do at the minute, guys, is just keep winning. And after a European game, you'll always take a win, won't you? So I was kind of happy enough with the win.
I was always comfortable at 1-0. I wasn't bothered at all, Shona. Yeah. What I would say is, look.
Excuse me. Do not stop there. Tell everybody your prediction was 1-0 and then what happened for the last 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, I sat. I wasn't lying, everybody. I sat like that in the gantry because it wasn't comfortable, was it? So, listen.
You stayed for the 15 minutes this time, Shona, eh?
I think you can say, look, genuinely delighted at the 3 points. Genuinely delighted at the clean sheet. Obviously, Jack played a big part in that, which we'll come to. And you're delighted to get the win all that can be true, but equally you can say really poor performance. Substitutions at halftime made no sense. The passing was really, really poor. Possession's high because you're keeping it in your back line, but you're not actually doing anything with it. You're not advancing. You're not gaining any territory. And there's nothing really in the final third. Now, those that watched the matchday vlog from yesterday would have seen my comments beforehand, and I was concerned about the front three. I was concerned about Lawrence. I was concerned about that quality in there. I don't understand his halftime substitutions. I think McCausland is really harshly treated. I think Raskin is really harshly treated. And when Raskin's substitute is Dowell, I think Raskin's really, really harshly treated. And I think that it just didn't work. I thought Igaman didn't really make the proper runs that he was supposed to be doing, so the link-up wasn't there. But he's a young boy, he'll learn. And then I think the next one to come to, and I think Shona slightly touched on it, is we're going to talk a wee bit about Czerny's performances. He was obviously clean through on Thursday night. He had a cracking goal against Motherwell, assist for Dessers in Kiev, but he's not really had an impact since. I've got to be honest, I like him. I do like him, and I wonder if I like him purely because he's a naturally right-sided winger and I'm desperate for it to work. Because the last time we had a natural right-sided winger was kind of Daniel Candace. So I'm desperate to see him do well. Yesterday I thought he was unlucky. He had a couple of times where he shifted on the left. He fired one across and he got kind of kneed over the bar. I thought he was unlucky, but he didn't play a lot last year. I think he only started 6 games last year. So it's going to take time for him. And I think when he hits form, he'll hit form, Shona. But it's fair to say it's been a little bit of frustrating recently. I do not buy the instant claims that he's not a good footballer, but I am waiting to see something from him on a consistent level. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think when you have somebody that comes in and makes an immediate impact, I think that's always a good sign, isn't it? Like when you said, like there when he got the assist against Kiev and then that cracking goal in Motherwell in his debut. And then I think people were just wanting him to kick on from there. And I think, look, he's had a few poor performances recently. And what I would say is that I don't know if people are actually finding him out because he does cut into that right foot of his and cuts inside. So it's something that he's going to have to learn. And you know yourself in this game, it's quite a physical battle. I think there's been quite a few times where he's not been able to stand up to that physicality. And yeah, I think he's got a lot to learn. But look, it's early doors, isn't it? I know we're judging him on, it's just the last, 7 or 8 games. But I think we're expecting a little bit more from him. I think when you're seeing somebody like McCausland who comes on twice as a sub for him and scores goals and he's still being put out in a different position or getting taken off at half time, I think it's slightly harsh on McCausland. I'm not saying that McCausland is the answer, but like McCausland's probably on slightly better form than what Czerny is at this moment in time and can't even get into the starting 11. So look, it's one that Czerny needs to learn. Whether that means that he needs somebody else beside him, I think Tav hasn't probably helped because Tav performances haven't been great either. But look, it's one for the manager to decide. But the jury's still out for me. I think, as you said, Stevie, I want him to do well. But I think he just needs to take that little step up in the next couple of games and see how he performs. Because if he's going to perform in the way he is at this moment in time in the next 4 or 5 games, then it is a bit of a concern, I would say. So look, the jury's still out on Czerny, but I mean, I think you said like the cross that he put in for Dessers in that Kiev game was unbelievable, wasn't it? If you wanted a cross to be put anywhere, it was right on Dessers' foot. And like you said, the goal that he scored against Motherwell was such a great goal, the way he cut inside. So we know what he's capable of, but I think we just want to see a little bit more of that in the next couple of games. And look, we've got a really tough game on Thursday night against Lyon. So it'll be good to see if he can stand up to that test. And look, we've got another home game on Sunday as well. So we'll wait and see what happens. But yeah, some of the things are just a wee bit disappointing with Czerny. I think we've spoken about this before when watching him, about some of the times when he does track back to help Tav. He doesn't really help Tav at all in some situations. But some of the passing at the weekend from Czerny was really poor. So, but like that accumulates across the whole team because I think the team wasn't great with their passing at the weekend. So, but there was just moments. Maybe I'm being a wee bit too harsh and I'm looking at him a wee bit more in too much detail. But there was a couple of times at the weekend between him and Tav and yeah, the passing was not great from Czerny. So look, as you said, we want him to do well, but I think he just needs to take that little step up.
Kenny, is he too one-dimensional? Shona mentioned it a wee bit. Obviously, he plays in the right, cutting from the right onto the left foot constantly. Have teams figured that out a wee bit? Is he too one-dimensional, or is it a case of the guy's only been here a month or so? He needs time. We've got to support him while he hits form, or are people right to be writing him off?
A little bit of both, actually. I think the criticism's kind of fair. And, you know, he had the opportunity to, it was in the second half, to take the ball in, spin, turn and drive away. And before he's even thought about it, the ball's went backwards. The enclosure gets a bit peeved at it, we'll call it that. And he has a wee fire back at them, which, listen, I don't mind that. People were getting a bit hit up by that. That doesn't bother me. A player showing emotion is a good thing. What boy wants to win, obviously. So the cutting inside all the time is a wee bit of concern. I'd like to see him drive down that right-hand side and try and take his man on a little bit more instead of trying to come across the player and then checking and literally almost always laying it back into Tav or into Corribaran or whoever is in the middle there. But I think I've said this before. We're one of the worst fan bases for giving. You've said it yourself, Stevie. You give a guy 10 minutes. I'll give him 15, 20 sometimes, but it's he's only been here a month. You said yourself he only played 6 games last season. Well, he's played 6 games in 3 weeks or something like that, hasn't he? So he's played as many games of football since he got here than he played all of last season. So the consistency thing will come. You're hoping that's your hope, that's your aim. And we need to understand he is an international player and he is a good player, but I've seen a little bit of him over the years and he's very tidy. But seeing him week in, week out, as you know, is a little bit different. So the jury's out a little bit.
All it takes is like one magical moment, isn't it? Like we've all seen the Borna Barisic thing where, free kick it's admitted later, so anything can happen. That's what I would say. I'm loath to write anybody off because that's what I normally do. But one moment can change everything for him.
Do you think he's lacking confidence a wee bit because that moment where we're on the counter-attack and he could have gone down the right-hand side and what does he do? He decides to cut back in again. And it just felt for me, I thought you had an opportunity there just to drive all the way down into the box and he didn't. He stops and then he cuts back and I think we ended up losing possession. I think he tried to pass it back to Tav and pass it straight to a player, one of the Hibs players, and I don't know, maybe it's just a wee bit of lacking confidence and maybe with the fans getting back on his back, I'm not too sure, but I just felt as if at that moment in time he had an opportunity to drive forward.
He did, but listen, I'm trying to be fair, trying to be reasonable about it. There was a number of players really guilty of that yesterday. There was the amount of times, you were there, the amount of times the place was getting wound up because the ball was going backwards. And you can see it, we can see it perhaps slightly better than a player can in the mix of a game there, but we could see it a lot yesterday. You can turn, you've got time, you've got space, you can get your head up and get your chest out and start rolling, and we didn't do it a lot yesterday. So, in terms of the individual, in terms of Czerny, yeah, he could have played better yesterday. Yeah, he is perhaps a little bit short of confidence, but I think the team in general yesterday just didn't function very well. So I think that is part of it as well, that it, to a certain degree, it was more about, perhaps in their heads, it was about ball retention, keeping the ball, keeping control of the game as best they could, because it was a tough game. The one thing I would say about Hibs, they're massive. Did you notice how big a team they were? They were a big, tall team. So I think in that sense, it was job done first. Get the job done first, I beg your pardon. for the majority of them. So I'm not going to sit there and overly criticise Tierney for it, because I thought there was a number of players guilty of it yesterday as well, to be fair.
Moving on, handball, Shona. Philippe became quite demonstrative in his press conference, giving it legs everywhere. I can't do it. I'm in a loft, so this is like a shape roof, so I'm not standing up and trying to do what Philippe did yesterday. But
you not do hands, shoulders, knees, and toes in there, no?
No, something like what Philippe did yesterday. I don't have an issue with the penalty decision, I've got to be honest. I think he goes to block it, and naturally he kind of moves it slightly above him. And I think it's just that movement that gets it. It's a penalty for me. I'm not sure whether or not it's more, but I've got no issue with the decision. Do you have any complaints?
I don't have any complaints about the decision, but what I would say is we want to see consistency throughout the rest of the season. And I think those kind of types of handballs can be given and not be given. And I think this is the problem, isn't it, in our league? Is some of the decisions are given, some of them are not. Do I think it was slightly harsh on Stewart? I don't think so. I think he actually moves his arm slightly above it and prevents the ball going in the back of the net. I think if he doesn't do that, it's going to be a goal to the Hibs. So, look, I think it's one of those ones where I don't think the referee had the greatest of performances yesterday. It was very stop-start. And there was no momentum in the game. Like we were talking, it was very, like as Kenny said, it was very turgid. There was no kind of flow to the game at all. I think it was very flat. The atmosphere was very flat. And I think when you've got a referee that no offence, but there was one or two Hibs players that were going in with pretty serious kind of hard tackles that were going in there, and nothing was given. And then you see some of the yellow cards that were given to some of our players. So I think it was one of those ones where I think it was definitely a penalty, but we just want to see consistency, and I can see those not given. And it'll be interesting to see what happens if that wasn't given against us in another game.
Kenny, Shona says something that's actually really, really interesting. We've had this discussion before about Nick Walsh, haven't we? Hiding in plain sight almost, that he likes to break up our play as much as he possibly can. And there was a few times yesterday where we had advantage and we were away and he would bring it back. Mm-hmm. And we've actually discussed this. I've posted it on 4 Lads as well with Nick Walsh. He's very subtle in what he does. That aside, Nick Walsh, any complaints about the penalty?
No, it's a stonewall penalty for me, to be honest. Look, if it's in, if the boot is in the other foot, if you like, we would be going absolutely apoplectic if we didn't get that. Let's not kid ourselves though. We would, that is a stonewall penalty, and context is kind of everything. I've seen a lot of comparisons between this and the Scales one a couple of weeks ago, and they are similar. But context is everything. I still think that's a penalty. So, if we think that's a penalty, then the Suter one's got to be a penalty. But even more so because of where he is. He's 3 yards from the goal line. It's a shot. It's a shot that's stopped by somebody's arm. It's his kind of elbow, isn't it, that stops it. So it's a penalty kick, and I can understand what the manager's actually trying to say, but I don't agree with him. Although I do understand what he's trying to relay to is, you've got to look at it and say he's 3 yards for goal, and it hits his arm. It's a penalty. It's a penalty, and it's a. I don't know what you guys thought, but I knew he was missing that. I knew Butland was saving it. I knew it wasn't going in for whatever reason. Just had that real feeling. So
I done the old double bluff to Shona. I was like, Butland never saves penalties.
Aye.
So,
What did I say to you? He's saving this one.
He's saving this one, yeah. It's all right, Shona. It's all right to be right all the time. All right, let's move on. Tom Lawrence. Performances so far this season came in for a bit of stick for me during pre-season. That's 6 points we picked up thanks to him, Dundee United and Hibs obviously yesterday. So let's bring up his stats and we'll see where we are with Tom. obviously there's a few things to kind of pick out, you know, from this year. And he's got 3 goals this year so far, only 2 last season. Expected goals are kind of there and thereabouts. More shots on goal for appearances this season already. Almost as many shots on target, 7 to 13. But it's interesting, he's got more touches in the box already than he did do the whole of last season, Shona. So Tom Lawrence is somebody that's more than capable of scoring 10 plus goals for us. He's got 3 so far, you know, a couple of really good ones. What do you make of Tom Lawrence's performances so far?
Well, if we just go back to when he was captain of Derby County, and when we went to sign Tom Lawrence, I was really excited about Tom Lawrence. I think Tom Lawrence was a cracking player when he played at Derby County, especially when he was captain under Wayne Rooney. I think in that season, one before he came to us, he had 11 goals and 6 assists, and he was outstanding for them. And I think ever since he came to Rangers, he's probably not played so much in his most natural position. I think he has at times. I think Todd Cantwell has played in there. I know he can play off the left-hand side, but he's probably played more as an attacking midfielder more than anything, especially last season. And his injuries haven't helped him. I think since he came here, he's been stop-start about getting in the team. But look, I think this season, I'm not going to lie, I thought Tom Lawrence would have been one of the ones that was on my list to go out in the summer with the wages that he's been on and the performances that he put in last year. They just weren't good enough. But I think what we're seeing this year is a totally different Tom Lawrence. Now, if Tom Lawrence can go on to do and get double figures in goals, you're talking about probably having one of his best seasons in his whole career so far. So, look, I've been quite impressed with him. I think we're seeing a different side to Tom Lawrence. I think a lot of negativity last year was him not tracking back, not being able to get involved as much. The opportunities that he did have, he just didn't take them. But I think the ones that you said, I think the touches in the box is a massive one. I think we know what Tom Lawrence is capable of. We saw that yesterday. I think Tom Lawrence for me always scores worldies, doesn't he, wherever he goes. But I think, like you said, the touches in the box, the pressure regains, his XG is actually higher, or he's outperforming his XG already. And I just think that we're just seeing a totally different side, whether that he's fitter or it's just a style of play, or is it the fact that Barami's came in here and he's got competition around about him, where I think maybe last year he was in and out the team. So, fair play to Tom Lawrence. I think, like you said, that's 6 points that we've picked up from the 2 goals that he scored this season. What I want to see is just probably that a little bit more from Tom Lawrence. I want him to see us doing this on a consistent basis. So, look, it is very early doors in the season, but if he can do this over the next 10, 15, 20 games this season, I think, you're probably talking he's going to have his best stats and performance that he's had in his whole career so far. So, would it then be a case of when it comes to January, we'll need to sign him on a new contract, because I know he's out of contract next summer. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. But as you said, I think that some of these stats are quite interesting. I'm sure Joshua spoke about it on the Rangers review, which is a bit annoying because I had this plan for the last couple of days. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but I think what you're seeing as well, when his ball retention, when he's going in for tackles, he's winning tackles. When he gets into the middle of the park, he's creating loads of chances. His touch is funny. One of the good things about Tom Lawrence is he's got a really, really nice touch on him as well. So, and like you said, he can shoot from outside the box, which is something that we've probably lacked with the attacking players that we've had previously. So the best number 10 that I've seen at our football club in the last couple of years is Malik Tillman. So if Tom Lawrence can not get up to the heights of Malik Tillman, because I think Malik Tillman will be a different level, but if Tom Lawrence can do what maybe get double figures this season in goals and in assists, I think he's going to be quite vital. But look, I think a lot of the fans do want to see Barami in that number 10. But at the moment, in this moment in time, you can't complain with those stats. And you can understand why Clemont's not putting Barami in the number 10 position, because he obviously believes that Tom Lawrence is on better form than Barami, even though Barami's already had a goal and an assist since he's come in and he's hit the ground running. So, look, I think the good thing is, overall, not just talking about Tom Lawrence, is the fact that we've got options now. I think you can put Tom Lawrence in there in that number 10 position. You can put Barami there. You can put Barami out on the left. You can possibly put Tom Lawrence on the left, though I don't think he would. So, but look, at least we've got the options there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Tom Lawrence performs in the next Old Firm game. I think that's one that's everyone's always said previously, does he suit the kind of style when it comes to an Old Firm game? Because, you know, yourself, the performances haven't been there. So let's see how he does against Lyon on Thursday night. I think that'll be a big test for him, because we're going to be up against really, really good attacking players against Lyon. I'm sure we'll go into that. So, but no, fair play to Tom Lawrence. He's came in and he's proven us all wrong, and keep going.
Kenny, I've got to be honest, like, here comes the grumpy bit. I've still got a long way to go before I'll be convinced that Tom Lawrence is anything but a squad player for Rangers, who's playing at the moment because other people are injured. Yeah, he's done okay. He scored some good goals, but I still think there's a lot more that I want to see from Tom Lawrence consistently before I'm convinced. And listen, I get it. Right? I understand it, and I know what people are going to say, but I still remember Tom Lawrence being out-chased at Parkhead, having just come on, and then standing still while they break away and scored our third goal because he doesn't track back. So I'm loath to give too much credit and go over the score and start making him out to be a world beater, Kenny, because until it's consistently done, and yeah, look, stats are good, goals are good, until it's consistently done, I need to see more.
Yeah, I can understand why. I like him. I like him as a player, I always have. But does he have his frailties or failings? Yeah, definitely. And as Shona pointed out there, that the games against Celtic are what make and break you at Rangers. They really are. If you can't beat them or you can't perform against them, you're not going to survive. And he's got to prove in that game, yeah. But listen, the thing I would say mostly about Tom Lawrence, for me anyway, is that he's looking fit this season. And bar that first 3-4 months that he was here until he got the knee, it was a knee injury against Ross County, if I remember right, at home, right in the last kick of the ball. It's different, you know, last season, you know, in the last 18 months or so, we've had 700 number 10s to pick from. So if you're trying to come back from an injury, it's difficult to go back into that Rangers team. We're a little bit different from other teams in that sense, where we do tend to have loads of options. Whereas at this minute in time, at the start of this season, Philip Clement looks to have turned around and said, perhaps to him, that you will be in that position. It's yours to lose. And he looks a confident player. But listen, I'm not going to disagree with you, Stevie, in respect to, you know, has he still got it to prove it on the biggest stages? Yes, he has. So I can understand what your point is and where you're coming from. I'm slightly different because I do like him. I would have liked to see a lot more of him in there. The likes of at times last season and even the season before, he was getting played as an 8 and stuff. He's not that. He's a number 10, or he can play out on the left. That's where and the right, by all accounts as well. I can't recall seeing him much on the right, but he did play out there for Derby as well. So he's an attacking player, Stevie, that will give you goals. He'll get goals outside the box. He will create, and he's doing that for us at the moment. But yeah, I'm not going to sit there and, you know, kind of say that you're wrong there, because you're right. He's got all to prove. He has, you know.
What I would say though, Kenny, is, and just before we move on, because we've got Lyon to talk about, this isn't just a Tom Lawrence thing. You know, as much as I like Conor Barron, Mohamed Diamande, as much as I like these guys, you know, as much as I like the look of Nadim Barami and blah, 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 you know, I hammer Cyril Dessers because he hasn't done it in the Old Firm games and in these bigger games, arguably some bigger games. It goes for all of them. See, until you really do it and prove it at the top games, and you go on a run and you bag the League Cup and you beat them at New Year and that, then I'll start to go, do you know what? Conor Barron's got the potential. And I like Conor Barron. He reminds me of Stuart McCall. I think he's a cracking wee player and everything else. But see, before I really start going over the top on these guys, got to win stuff. You've got to prove it at the biggest moments. Tom Lawrence is doing great. What a goal it was yesterday. What a goal it was at Tannadice. Brilliant. Really chuffed for him. Am I convinced? No. But I'm not convinced with any of them yet. They've got to do it week in, week out. Got to hit heights. Got to go and win on Thursday. And that takes us to the next bit, Kenny, because Lyon are a good side. One against Toulouse at the weekend, one against Olympiacos in the opening game of the League 2-0, I think it was. Cherki and Benrahma, I think, scored those goals. Played 7, won 3, lost 3, 1 draw. They're not invincible, but the players to watch out for, Zaha, Makatadze, Benrahma, Lacazette, Cherki, all the kind of forward players. And I probably butchered one or two of them pronunciations, Shona, but Lyon are a very, very good side. Kenny, we'll just open this up to both of you and we'll have a wee chat about this. I'll be honest with you, and I'll not want to come across negative. They're going to have to play every single bit as good and better than they did on Thursday night against Molde, against Malmo, where we were terrific. But we need to hit another level, and Ibrox needs to be bouncing. I remember when Lyon came under Gerrard a couple of years ago. I think it was Gerrard just before he left, and they won 2-0 at Ibrox, and Ibrox was flat. It was Thursday night. We were bored. We'd just been put out of the Champions League. Nobody really fancied Europa League again. We need to avoid Thursday night being like that, Shona. This is a really, really tough ask. I'll be honest. I take a point at this moment in time because they're a very good side, and I just want to see us, build that momentum up a wee bit. And I'm not trying to be defeatist, but I think this is a really tough test. As tough as Man United and Tottenham, and we consider them to be the toughest run in this group, or this league setup. So this is a mammoth task for Rangers at this moment in time, I think.
Yeah, it is. Like you said, they're on pretty decent form. Played 7, won 3. I think they've lost 3, drew 1 so far this season. Don't think they've had the greatest of starts towards their season campaign. But like you said, when you look at that front line, you've got the likes of Zaha, Benrahma. Is it Benrahma, isn't it, that used to play for West? Was it West Brom? No, it might not be West Brom. West Ham. So you've got loads of, and then you've got Lacazette, who obviously used to play for Arsenal. So they have got a very, very good forward line. I think Cherki is another great player, and so is the other guy up front. But I won't pronounce that one because I'll let you murder that one, Stevie, and you can get the.
I think that's all right.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out in the comments, won't we, later on when somebody tries to correct you. So, but no, I think what the biggest task I think for this Thursday night will be, how does our defence do? So I would quite like to possibly see. I think it might be difficult for Clermont to have a number 10 in that position on Thursday night. I would probably go a little bit more defensive. I know we've just spoken about Tom Lawrence, and I did say that if he was to come out on Thursday night and have a big performance, then that's another one ticked off. But I think you've got to go very defensively on Thursday night. Like you said, you would take a draw at this moment in time. So I think it will be an interesting game. I think it really will. And because I think their defence, they're leaking goals, quite a few goals. I think was it against Marseille? They conceded 3 goals against Marseille. Again at the weekend, Toulouse had scored before they went on to win the game. So I don't really know too much how they've played this season. I'm just looking at their results, but I think Marseille were down to 10 men as well. So look, I think it's going to be a massive task ahead, and you're going to have 11 players on that park right on the A game. And I think this will be the toughest test. But look, do you know what? I think Proper and Suter played decent, building up that partnership in 2 centre-back roles. So this is just another test for them on Thursday night, and I think this will be the biggest test that they've had so far. So looking forward to it. As I said, we'll be covering it, won't we, Stevie, on Thursday night? But yeah, it's going to be a massive task, and it'll be interesting to see how the likes of Tav and Yefty, if Yefty plays, deal with the pace of Zaha, because Zaha is a decent player. I don't care what anybody says, but when he was at Crystal Palace, he was their best performer. And it'll be interesting. I don't know what Kenny thinks, but I think it'll all be down to what the defence do on the night.
Kenny, my biggest issue is when we come up against a top team, and I'm loath to kind of say they're a top team, but they are a very good team. We've seen what happened at Parkhead. We got pulled apart. That midfield was overrun. We didn't know how to pass. We didn't know when to press. If we fall into those traps against Lyon will just pick us off quite easily. I'm not sure that we're quite ready for that standard of team. But could we have improved in the last 3-4 weeks? Could there have been momentum from results? A lot of clean sheets, 4 in a row. You know, I'm not trying to be negative. It feels like it's an uphill task, Kenny.
Yeah, listen, they're 2 or 3 levels above Malmo right away. They are. They're a good team. You don't finish. I think was it 5th or 6th in France last. I think it was. It might be 4th actually. I actually seen it today. I can't remember. But cut a long story short, for me, you're up against it on Thursday night because they are an expensively built squad of players. They've got some very, very. Mikitaji is a brilliant player. I really like him. Zaha, as you say, is fantastic. They've also got Matic in the middle there that plays. You know, he's a tough midfielder to play against. So they're a good side, and are we ready for them? You've asked. I think we're more ready for them now than we were 3 weeks ago against them. So yeah, and listen, if Ibrox can get rocking, you know yourself, it does. It might not intimidate the opposition, but it does inspire our players sometimes. So, you know, do you take a draw? Yeah, you take a draw right away. But I actually am hoping to win the game, oddly. I just feel that if we really do want to progress, we're going to have to pick up points at home. We're going to find it tough at Old Trafford. We're going to find it tough away to Olympiacos. Spurs at home is going to be a tough game. They're a quality side. They're probably a level above Lyon again, to be honest, in terms of the quality of player they have. But bring it on in that sense. But I do understand what you're saying, Stevie. Are we ready for it? I think we're more ready for it than we were a few weeks ago. And I'm looking forward to the game because they have got some exciting players up front that you and Shona have discussed. But the fullbacks are going to be an interesting one because they've got real pace down those flanks, both their wingers. In fact, I think they've got multiple wingers that they can pick and choose from. But it's a separate discussion, probably a separate pod. But Tavernier's lack of pace at this minute in time is going to be a concern because he'll be going up against Wilfred Zaha there, and Zaha will take him to the cleaners if Tav's has a poor game and he doesn't get the support. So that right hand side is going to be, with Czerny, perhaps being defensively as solid as we would want him to be. I'll put it that way. That's interesting. Does he go with perhaps Sterling on one side and Casaverio on the other? Who knows? I don't know what he'll do, but I think he might well look at changing it a little bit. And for one last reason, very quickly, is I had a quick look at their squad online tonight. They're massive as well. They're a big team. There's the majority of them are 6 foot plus. There's 2 or 3 of them that are literally 5'10", 5'11", and the rest are all 6 foot plus. So they're a big, strong team as well. So we need to look out for that.
Kenny, Stevie, would you be inclined, and maybe this is because Czerny's not been on particularly good form, I would put McCausland there. I think McCausland would do a far better defensive job with Tav than I think Czerny would in a big game like this. I don't know what you guys think, but I would tend to have him there, and I think it'll be a massive, massive miss if Diamante is not in that team come Thursday night if he's not fit enough.
I'm just going to say one thing. I think Tav's on his very, 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 very last life. And I think for most fans, he's maybe way beyond that. If he is a stinker on Thursday night, the ramifications of that aren't really worth thinking about from a Tav, Rangers captain, all that kind of point of view. You could just be controversial, Philippe, and just play the guy at right back who's probably best suited for it, which is Casavirgo, or Nana, as we like to call him. So
Casemiro, maybe.
Casemiro, yeah. Casa, Nana, whatever. Play that guy. He's been quite good. Played really well last week. And why not play him? You know, Jeffrey's got the pace on the left to try and combat that, but well, listen.
Did you think
you cannot tell a Philip Clement team. You seen that yesterday.
Think you could play Casemiro in the midfield, like a defensive midfielder?
I'd be more inclined to put Tav in there, or he'd be more inclined to put Tav one forward. I think you saw that one yesterday. So we'll see. I don't think you can predict that. But Shona, we will be there. We'll be doing our match day vlog, covering the Celtic women's game with Rangers before that, which is Thursday at 6 o'clock. Why it's that time on that date, thanks to Sky, I've got no idea, but it seems bizarre. So we'll be bringing you that on the match day vlog before we play Lyon. Shona, it's going to be an entertaining night. Thank you for joining us as ever this evening.
Thank you very much, Stevie. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. So just get your pronunciations right for the next one.
Absolutely not. That's what I'm here to do. Butcher everyone. Kenny, always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Stevie. You're getting good at this hosting gig, aren't you? You're doing quite well.
Not really. Sooner Andrew's back, the absolute beta. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been a phenomenal response from you, as ever. Thousands of people tuning in, getting involved. Get your comments in. Let us know what you think. If there's anything you want us to discuss, a particular point on Friday night, maybe it will happen after the Lyon game. Get your comments in, get your questions in on the matchday vlog, or even come back and put them in here. We'll pick them up and we'll talk about it on Friday night as well. So the more you guys comment and the more that you guys get involved, the more that we can discuss and kind of bounce off you. So it works that way for us as well. But really enjoying it. If you haven't subscribed, please do. That really helps us. We're doing really well with that. And for a pod that's just started 6-7 months since the kind of start of February, March, we're having a great time doing it. So really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. Good luck to the team on Thursday night. We will see you from Ibrox Stadium. Good luck to the ladies as well. Got a press conference on Wednesday. We'll hear from Joe Potter, the manager, and a player as well. So there's an action-packed press conference on Wednesday. We'll bring you all coverage from that. Thanks for joining us this evening. Have a good week, folks.
Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clyde Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, along with Art of Gold. Thank you for listening or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.